You couldn't be a dumb idea to make it into.
Approve the agenda as presented. Aye.
Yeah, I had me there, John. So the agenda's been approved. Approve the minutes of May 3rd. Motion to approve.
So move.
Nobody wants to.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any public comments?
No public comments, Mr. Chair.
Any information from supervisors not seated as committee members? Speak now or forever.
Yeah.
Update from Administrator Netherland.
Yeah, just a couple of things. As always, we keep our eye on the economy, things that are changing. It's important. Working with my finance director, we were reviewing the loan that we took out from Bremer for the building and a line of credit for 2.1%. We are redirecting some of our cash. We are very cash heavy into treasuries and CDs and so on, and sometimes getting interest at 2.4%, and I suspect that will go up. So I think it was a wise decision taking out the line of credit when we did, and now in fact the interest rate, making money on money, so to speak. At the fairgrounds, there was some storm damage this spring, and Mo and Chad and others have worked through with the Fair Society. Mr. Warrendall got involved a little bit too, and so the insurance company we paying out to be getting fence repaired, a couple of roofs, and some sides of buildings in general getting repaired there. Broadband grants. You remember with ARPA, we said that if they received a grant from the state PSC, that we would match that up to a certain amount. We expect the awards to come out. I think in the next couple of weeks they're due to come out. Optimistic, and hopefully that will start kickstart some things regarding broadband. Stour Trail and Judge Black. There was a hearing yesterday. I haven't talked to Malia about it, but as you can imagine, and my guess, it has been delayed again. So he pushed it back. Nothing was decided.
Well, he did decide to grant the Friends' request to amend their original pleading in the case that involves the DNR and county. It really doesn't change anything, but now there's a new briefing schedule put in place. So again, it just has the effect.
Are you our main rep on that?
We have Matt Thome and Andy Phillips on it. I am their liaison, but I just get to sit back and watch them. Really.
Were they out of?
Milwaukee? Milwaukee.
Where does Judge Black hearing, is that in Madison?
No, he has been doing most of them by Zoom, but it is a Polk County case. And so whenever there's big stuff, he would come here in person.
Okay.
And finally, regarding parks and trails, we did just release an RFP to look at a feasibility study on the Gandy Trail, Gandy Dancer Trail, and what is the best way, or is there any way to connect St. Croix Falls to Burnett County? So the feasibility study has just been released. That's all I have.
Was there a lot of wind damage in that on the Gandy Dancer Trail, and is it all cleaned up? I heard some stories.
Oh, might be able
Cleaned
to
up.
give.
There was a lot of trees down. There's a lot of trees down. The staff was out there for several days, about a month ago,
Doing staff and volunteers.
mainly staff.
Thank you. Update from Highway Commissioner Mo Norby.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Talking about projects, again, the roof replacement at the fairgrounds on the senior building, that's completed. Has been stated, we're moving forward with the wind damage from with our insurance settlement on the fencing and the other items down there. At the museum, the restrooms are completed. That was a good one to not do. Facilities, the LED lights in the courtrooms have been replaced, are now LEDs. We did install dimmer switches also, so no one's too bright in there. On that, the crack seal of the parking lots for the Justice Center and across have been completed already. The Government Center sidewalk at the north end of the building is complete finally. Able to get that contractor back on there. The recycling update is moving along. I'll get a little into that when I do the presentation on staffing on that one. A couple other ones that have been completed or in the works here. The trash can replacements and picnic tables have been ordered. The play equipment for Lotus Lake and D.D. Kennedy are on site at the highway department. We just have to prep the sites now to get that installed. The bow wrap at Magner is complete. The new docks are in for butternut and the other one on there. What is it? My typing's getting too small now. I can't read it anymore. Campsites down in Sterling have been gravelled. That's all been seeded back now. That's complete. The Sterling Loop, we ordered signage for that. It's complete. The club has been picking up sticks on it. It's been hard to keep ATVs and stuff off of it, but it's currently not open. But it is pretty close on that one. The Gandy and the Stour have been graded, and the Lorraine ATV trail. Ben has been working with the club up there on the wetland area. It's very wet up there right now, so we're looking at what we can do on projects and what areas and what the cost is going to be on those. On those ones, the Woodley Dam trailhead that's been surveyed. The landowner has been contacted. We'll start hopefully in the next couple of weeks making the berm between the parking lot and the hotel there. The Wanderoos parking lot. The town completed its ditching work and grubbing of their ditch line, getting quotes on gravel in that parking lot. That'll be moving forward here shortly. Also, Polk should have the light into the Sterling campsite here shortly. County Double P on the highway side has been paved, just waiting paint on that one. County Road F is complete. Also, the veranda. In your packet there, they have two projects out the state does for public comment. Highway 87 from Highway 8, just north of Minnesota Street, downtown St. Croix Falls. That project is looking to be done in 26, 27, so they're looking for comments on that one. The other one is State Highway 46 from Highway 8 to 35. Look for comments on that one. That is another 26, 27 project. US 63 currently on the state is being worked on for paving and reclaiming and cold in place. Once that is completed, they'll be moving over to State Highway 46 south of Emery. Also, on the bridge side, the bridges are moving forward that we have in the system right now. The two I added, the rehab bridges on 70th Street for the town of Lincoln and 50th Avenue for the town of Blackbrook. To get it to be able to rehab the bridges, you have to go up to a sufficiency rating between 50 and 80. Once it drops below 50, you can go for replacement. Both these bridges, I'm moving forward with the rehab reports to see what that comes out at. Unfortunately, both these bridges have pile problems on the pilings where these bridges will probably never go into replacement status under 50 for replacement, which would be really silly to put a new deck on a bridge that won't support the pilings. So I'm working with WISDOT and the WCHA to get the funding levels changed, to try to get these in there. If the bridge report says the best rehab is replacement. So working on those, stay tuned on that. Other county stuff, intergovernmental agreement with our counties, our top 9 counties here in the Northwest have been signed. It just means that if there's a disaster in one of our counties, we help each other out. We just put it in writing for the states. They have that in writing. Along the National Highway, we still have 2 operators positions open, and right now 2 people on FLMA. That's it.
Yes, I would just like to compliment the public works department because up on Little Butternut, I've heard grumbling for quite some time of the old wood dock. I went out there, saw my aluminum dock put in, and there was the day I was there, first day there was quite a bit of usage. Just fishing off the dock, putting in kayaks and things. So I just wanted to compliment.
Thank you. Oh, it's that one.
Yeah, I share that sentiment, because that was the one where I took my grandson out a couple of years ago. I think it was before COVID hit. And I said, you want to do some public service, but let's redo this terrible looking, you know, boat ramp and that old wood dock, and let's get the new sign up here. I'll see if they'll bring some gravel and you can level it up, and it's all taken care of. Looks great. New signs, new dock, everything's clean around there. And looks good. Thanks.
Mr. Chair, you got to congratulate Mo at Wisconsin County. He got just about his annual trophy for representing us in the golf tournament.
Priorities.
How tall was it, Mo?
What's that?
How tall was it?
Yeah, little guy.
One in the center. One in the center of the table was three.
That was a big one, yeah.
If you could bring up my flash drive. And then on the,
One is it?
it should be that one, highway budget information. Yes. Yep, that one. This is a smart screen, I can just scroll up.
Yep.
This is the 2021 financial report for highway operations that we go through the audit with. I just wanted to quickly show you some numbers from it. So we give this every year to the committee to look at. It has a lot of information in it. The first page, as it goes through, it has a table of contents. We get a letter from our auditor that they are good with it. Then we get into the numbers. The numbers, when you look at the numbers, there's a lot going on in highway. The first page has our assets, our capital assets, what our total position is at the end of almost $23 million. And as you get in the second page, this is where a lot of our numbers come. And when you think of the highway budget, you got to think of three separate budgets. We have our levy, we have our operating expenses, which is our budget, our expenditures. Then we have our net position and how much money runs through our books. Kind of look at it three different ways. And some of the key numbers in our expenses is this federal FAS project. That's our county share when I get federal funding, whether it's 10% share with a town on a bridge project or a 20% share on a road project like County Road Account. You see last year, paid a lot of money for our share, but we got a lot of money out of that from the state. I projected that we'd be probably over budget, right around $800,000 because of the cost of asphalt, the change in the program that the state did, which we came out very good. So if we have our revenues, we have our expenses, it shows a net loss of $570,000. We had another net change. Our actual drop in our fund balance for highway was $317,000. Again, I thought with the projected cost of everything, we'd probably be $800,000 into our fund balance. Worked out really well. What you don't see there though is since this audit has closed, we have received like $138,000 from the state for a project we did in 2021. You don't see that on this number. What you don't see here either is we still had $100,000 left over in our state contract because we had a light winter in 2021. We tried to go into October anticipating so many storms. If you don't get those storms, it's hard to spend that money. You know, just instead of just trying to buy gravel or something, try to store that away. So our net change in that is only $317,000, which is pretty good. Our actual fund balance is just around $3 million. I'll show you that in a little bit. This number here, highway appropriation, that's our levy. Our levy last year was $3.4 million. The $73,000, that's bridge aid levy. What bridge aid is a program with the towns that it's a 50-50 cost share for replacing culverts over 36 inches in diameter. That does not come off highway levy. That's a separate levy that then is levied back against the towns, whoever is in the program. So we go out to find out how many people want culverts replaced. We can budget this number in there. That's that number. That number can change from 0 to 150,000 if we have big projects. So remember that number, 374. So 374, 3 million. Remember, our tax levy was 3.4 million. This line item right here, cash paid to suppliers, goods and services. That's how much we put back to the private sector. Almost $4.2 million went back to the private sector for all our projects. So of that tax levy, we did very well. Again, this is our net change in position. When you look at our levy, I said our levy was just under 3 million. 2.7, our new levy is 2.3, but this is just our cash. This is spendable. There's other stuff in our fund balance that we can't spend. So this is what's available for spending. If you guys let me. But this is our cushion. But this is our cushion when gas prices double, or diesel costs double. We go through 110,000 gallons of diesel a year. A $3 increase in that is a big chunk of money for us. It's hard to budget. It's hard to run. Right now, projections are running, if I budget at $5.25 a gallon, I should be fairly safe. It's many in the industry think it's already peaked. It's come back down now, so won't come back down to $2 anymore, but $5 that next number. So then, as you get to the rest of the document, it'll go over our operations of our buildings, our administration. It'll actually go into shop operations, our storage, our maintenance, all that stuff. At the end, you could go through, you go up again. Chad?
Over the top. Where you want to go?
Oh, you can grab that one.
Here.
Go down. I want to go down, way down. But that's the meat of it. The other side of this document, at the end of it, shows all our equipment. Shows what our equipment costs, what our depreciation is, how much fuel went into it, how many parts went into it, how many repairs went into it. So you can see where they're up or down. Again, our equipment's very expensive. A plow truck comes off at now over $300,000, but it has a 10-year depreciation per the state. We have to follow the state. So starting out of the gate, I'm already $30,000 in the hole by checking revenue and stuff. So I just wanted to go over the numbers because we pass this out every year. And the numbers show a lot when you look at it. So when you see a negative or a positive, you got to look to see, well, why were we over, why were we under, and what we end up in that position.
And one important thing for the committee, just be aware that even though we budgeted for inflation for the equipment, which we do every year, typically 2 to 3%, the highway equipment as well as sheriff's office equipment is well above budgeted numbers for inflationary costs. We're paying $42,000 for a Durango, where we normally pay $31,000 for the sheriff's office on equipment. I think we budgeted $250 for each plow truck, and they came in at $310 each without equipment. So inflationary costs are way up there on equipment. And supply chain, the sheriff had to go to either Iowa or Missouri for Durangos.
We went to Iowa.
The sheriff went to Missouri for Durangos. Mo went to Iowa for a truck for a recycling center. So supply chain is another problem.
And with the equipment, we used to get very good municipal discounts. Dealers give us, so we could, for a 1-ton truck, we could budget $45,000 because we get a good trade-in, we get a good municipal discount. That same 1-ton now, $70,000, no municipal discount. Lead times, the equipment we buy and order today, we won't see till 2023, 2024. So the budgeting becomes very problematic because what we order today, we're not going to pay for a year and a half. We can get it and trying to hold those costs. We're dealing with surcharges. The steel index is a big factor in that some companies are just going, once you get your chassis, we'll go up the steel index. If it came down, your price goes down, if it went up, you got to cover that cost. So it's becoming very tricky to go through the budget process.
Does the auditor make any recommendations? Final.
He got an unmodified opinion, which is the highest opinion you can get. So we've had a history of unmodified. I mean, there's the typical segregation of duties, we're always gonna have that catch, because governments don't have enough staff to truly segregate under our own principles. So, I mean, that's gonna be in every audit we get for every. I think that we're ever gonna get
I
past.
always look for an auditor's opinion because I remember back years ago, I think. where, like COVID said, we got some rather rash opinions.
Yeah, so their opinion is gonna be modified, unmodified, or qualified. You want unmodified, modified means we found some issues with the financial statements, here they are. Qualified is if you find something really detrimental. You want unmodified, what they're saying is, we believe the financial statements prepared by management are accurate and depict the true status.
Thank you, Mike.
Thanks. Can you bring up that other presentation?
Which one's that?
There's recycling center one. I run through this. Or you guys do that.
We had that big meal, so we're pretty satisfied.
I want you to fall asleep though. Just a quick discussion on staffing down at the recycling center. One of the issues we're having getting staff. Nick Fears, our foreman down the recycling center. Just want to give a little background here. The last 2 years, we've had almost 4,000 customers that come to the recycling center, and that come inside the building and either drop off electronics or something like that. That's not people that use our drop boxes. In 2020, we did almost 2,300 tons of recycling in Polk County. Of that, 1,500 of it was collected by Polk County staff. Our drop-ins did, 63% of all that recycling. So, and our requirement by DNR is 82 pounds per resident. We're doing 109. So we're doing very well down there. Current staffing levels, we have 4 full-time employees. We have 1 seasonal. We haven't been able to fill that seasonal yet the last 2 years, so it's been a struggle. And again, we're trying to staff that with, we have 4 full-times now, trying to run 5 days a week, from Memorial Day to Labor Day. We used to have almost 9 to 11 clients. Now we're down to 4 to 5 from Endeavors. And Endeavors does a great job, and we like their relationship and want to keep that relationship. But they're having a hard time too, finding clients to work down there. It's their highest paying job. But again, their work model now is to transition those people into society, get full-time jobs hired by companies. Of the 6 dedicated to them, we only have 4 to 5 due to health reasons on one of the clients. We have 40 drop-in at 17 locations, 2 to 6 bins. About 68 bins are hauled per week. Again, open 5 days during the summer, which is a challenge. We tried Saturdays last year trying to get staff in there. We didn't get a lot of people coming in there, maybe 3 to 5 on a Saturday. And again, with 4 full-time employees, with vacations and everything, it's very hard to staff that. So the staffing level has remained the same for the last 10 years. The inability to count on staffing from the clients, if it's snowy outside or they call in sick, we don't have backups for that. So once we don't have backups for them, we have to stop the sorting line, bring our full-time employees, either run the sorting line or haul in equipment. If we can't run or haul in recycling, we can't haul in recycling or sort it. Well, there's no good hauling it in if it's just piling up in the door. So it's kind of a wash. Last year we hauled 40-some tons to Pierce County's recycling center and just got rid of it. Just didn't have room for it. I asked Endeavors, what does the future look like for clients? And they said, yeah, 4 to 5 is what you're probably going to get. So we do have a lack of resources there. So when we have to sort cardboard, we stop the commingle line, we sort cardboard. That takes probably 4 to 5 hours, and then you go back upstairs and redo that line again. So everything's timing on it, so we're not processing enough through it. And with the current bin locations, if we can increase how much we're sorting, we can easily bring another 30%. It's just sitting in boxes right now, about 30. This is what it looked like June 6th. This is a co-mingle sorting line that comes in. We do not have a pre-sorter. Pre-sorting helps with this to get rid of garbage and other things. You can see people put all their stuff in trash bags, so that all has to be opened up by hand and moved out of there. And we don't have glass recycling. for that one. Same thing on this, you can see, people like to recycle, they like to put a lot of stuff in there, but a lot of it's trash. The back of this is next to the north side of the recycling conveyor belt there. We haven't seen the back side of that in years, so.
So then do we have to pay somebody to take the trash?
Yes. Do a compactor and take all that. It can range from 10 to 25%, depending on how dirty it is, you know, because we get a lot of, they want to throw in like baby carriages and everything. It's plastic, they throw it in the bin, where a lot of that is just, it's landfill plastic. We can't take it. So we end up paying for that one. One of the things we're looking at with the SEH study and RRS is how can we help with the need for more staffing is optic sorting. Optic sorting, Vortex has one, it's in 200 facilities, picks 65 picks per minute, $100,000 per machine plus $1,500 a month in data services and software maintenance. So there is a cost to it. Glacier is another one, it's 25 to 30 picks a minute, but only $10,000. Still at $2,500 per month, requires a $40,000 to $50,000 air compressor. But you know, you can use these as a pre-sorter to make it easier on what runs through the line to do quicker things.
You said a pick is each thing that they
Is
pick.
each thing. And what we're doing with the study right now is we got permission to videotape the client's picking and sorting so that we can get an accurate count of how many they are moving, how much product they are moving. They do a good job. People to work down the recycling center. Not a fabulous down there. There are others out there. Green Machine offers a cluster of 6 sorting machines for 1.1 million. Remember, we only have 1.62 million, the ARPA funds. So that would take everything out of there. But with moving the line quicker and faster, it may mean we don't have to open that envelope of that building to make the building bigger. We stay within our footprint by optimizing all our space in there. Last year, we paid $81,000 to Endeavor clients. These options are good, but we still need staff on the floor, and that's why we want to bring this to the forefront. So the supervisors can discuss this when the requests come in. You know, our goals are to increase the tonnage, coming in 30%, start taking number 5 plastics for more revenue, improve our outreach mailer, pick up our boxes more frequently, increase staff. You know, full-time we can, but we'll wait and see what the study says. I'm not going to ask for 2 full-time employees right now. I want to see what the study says first and what the optic sorting is doing for us, how that works.
Do we have any idea how much recycling comes in from non-Polk County residents? Like, for example, people coming up to their cabin. If they're in the city and they have to pay for recycling, they can come up here and go into the recycling center and drop it for free.
Yeah, we don't have that data. We do not have that data. One of the things looking at this process though, is you can see we did 2,300 tons, 2,400 tons that came of collecting last year, you know, like Waste Management and Republic haul to their own facilities. But they collect single streams, so everything goes in one container. We can't do that just because the way we have to sort it. If we had the ability to take in single stream, more than likely they drop off at our facility also because it's a shorter haul from Polk County to Polk County versus Polk County to the Twin Cities or up to Serona. It's a shorter haul, but fuel costs money, so that's an option on there. But I just want to bring it to the attention of the supervisors. So once we get the study from RRS and we look at it, we can evaluate what the needs are and where the dollars land.
What's your timing on that, finishing that study?
We should have numbers within 2 weeks, 3 weeks after they get the cameras in. They got the nuts and bolts of it mostly done. And once they have that picture, then they lay out how the sorting line will go in the building.
Any questions? Sheriff Wong.
Thank you. I don't have much today. When we conclude, we'll do the tour. I have Lieutenant Melissa Alexander that will be our spearheading the tour. Every year we do this to fulfill our statutory needs, to show the jail. to the supervisors. And I'm happy to see some of the new supervisors come as well, because our facility, we're really proud of here. We have a very professional staff, men and women that work back there, work very hard. One of the things I want to just mention today is we're really at the bottom for recruitment, for employment. America is in trouble right now when the fact that I have 3 deputy positions and I have 1 applicant we're going to interview. I don't know what we're going to do. This is concerning. It used to be hundreds. People would fight for these jobs. Now nobody wants them. So that's the challenge ahead for us. We want to certainly recognize and take care of the employees that we have here, because they are our best valuable asset that we have. So I'm going to work really hard to try to keep the employees we have and recruit some new ones. We're low on dispatch. We're 3 short on the road, and Melissa, the last jail, where are we, 3 short or 2?
Well, we're 5 short, but we have 2 in backgrounds right now,
Yeah.
and 3 potential.
And I can just tell you, so we hold interviews and we interview 5, 6 people and we think, hey, great, we got 5, 6 people to look at. But by the time we get through the process, we're down to 1 or 2. Either they don't want, they're using it to leverage more money for the other job they're in, or they just realize maybe this isn't for me. And so we really struggle. I really feel in the last 4 years, the biggest accomplishment is hiring. That's all it seems like we're constantly hiring. And it's very demanding. We have some money from the state, $79,000 to put towards some recruiting efforts, and we're going to try to find some creative ways to make that work. But ultimately, there's more jobs in this line of work than there are qualified people. So how we deal with that in the future is the $1 million question. Other than that, like I say, when the meeting's over, we'll do the tour and we'll go from there. Any questions?
Well, there's no way to get any volunteer like help with the jail per se. I mean, how would you vet the people?
You know, and that's the thing, the ability to get part-time, you can't get full-time. So finding part-time is even more challenging. And I know a lot of the hurdles right now are the fact that we are a 24-hour operation, people working nights, weekends, and holidays. That's demanding. And when there's stronger private sector jobs where you don't have to do that, that's what we lose out to. So, and then we get competitive with our surrounding counties. When another county has a crisis and they bump the pay way up, then we risk losing our employees down there. So it really is bartering and doing everything you can to lure people to your facility. It's a challenge. It's the one that keeps me awake at night more than any other thing that goes on in this county. Losing the staff here is what haunts me the most. So we're going to have to figure something out.
I sat in on a seminar with Wisconsin County. I think it was Racine County. And he said they were short 26 deputies.
And some of the recruit academies put 10 people out. So when they come out, there's hundreds of jobs. So we may have to look at, for the first time ever, finding a way to sponsor someone to go to the academy, take one right out of college and pay for that training. That's just some of the options we're going to have to explore. It's concerning. You know, our age structure is pretty good through the agency. I mean, I don't anticipate a mass retirement where we would lose a mass number of people that way. But if you did, you'd be in a major crisis right now. There's just nobody to hire. And we can't lower our standard. If we lower the standard, then you're going to get in problems with legal issues. And, you know, we have a high standard, and that's why we have a great reputation in the county with our citizens. So we can never do away with our standard. We just have to find a way to encourage young people to go into this. We did just participate in a career fair where all the middle school and some high school kids from multiple districts came through the Polk County Fairgrounds. It's a wildly successful event. We hope that, you know, that triggers somebody at that age to say, I want to explore this. You know, we brought corrections officers to that. We had a lot of neat things to showcase. I mean, this is a fun, you know, I look back on my career and honestly, I feel very blessed with the opportunities I've had. And I would encourage a lot of people to go into this, but the newer generation doesn't see it. And it isn't just us, it's fire departments, EMS, everybody in a public service is struggling right now. But we feel it probably the hardest just with the national scrutiny that's been put on law enforcement. So I don't have the answers for you. I'm just telling you that's one of the things we're working daily to keep the ship going.
When's your current term?
I am seeking another term. So my term is up this year, but I'll be running unopposed. Nobody else filed. So,
Deadline gone by?
yes. Good. So, and it could be that nobody wants the job.
And for the committee to remember budget wise, what the sheriff alluded to, it's not unique for agencies to sponsor people through academy. Where I came from, I started my career at 19. In Alabama, you have to be hired full-time by an agency, go through the background, all that, to go to academy. You can't just go to an academy. And so that's not, it would be unique for us, but we've done a lot of talking about it. This was something that when I first came here as chief, I thought it was kind of on the horizon for us. Is, you do incur that cost for their payroll when they're in academy, but you can attach a commitment to it. And at the same time, you can mold that person into what you expect.
So
As
it'd be
opposed
like
to
somebody
getting
right
back
out of high school?
Well, they're gonna have to have the 2-year
You have to have
degree.
60
Wisconsin has to have
credits.
60 credits. But I mean, they could be a 20-year-old. I went to academy when I was 20. I was in jail 19 and academy at 20. But you have them on the hook then. And if you get them in and with you, then they're liable to stay with you, probably worth the investment. Especially what we're seeing in the pipeline. I think when I looked the other day, there's only 3 applicants for the current open position. And a lot of those are not academy trained. A lot of them aren't going to pass the psychological. A lot of them aren't going to pass the background. So I just, I think it would be wise for the county to keep their eyes open as a possibility. The argument is, why should we pay for somebody's education and training? But this is a very government focused, government specific, government unique position. And as the sheriff said, you go to recruit school in a state like this where they can poach, and there's 100 agencies trying to get one of them. So
You should keep your position, Willie.
How long is the academy?
Well, and that's the thing, it's gotten quite long. It's 720 hours. When I went in 1994, it was 400 hours. So they keep adding and.
when I went in Alabama, it was 26 weeks. Now it's down to 14. So, I mean, but that's about the average now where we are as nationally. So it's a commitment.
Minnesota last?
No, theirs is pretty similar. And the problem there is too, to be qualified to work here, if you went through Minnesota, you have to have had a full-time job over there. So if someone graduates their academy, we can't take them until they've worked, I think it's a year full-time. So that's some of the hurdles, and I've asked the state to look into that, to get rid of that reciprocity
That's
requirement.
another criteria.
But it is
It's
Sheriff.
challenging.
Rice Lake has academy, Fox Valley has
Most
academy,
of the tech schools.
and Chippewa Falls has it, right?
Does Northwood have? WITC?
At Rice Lake, yeah.
Absolutely. And so it's just kind of the perfect storm right now with the labor force. And, it's, I would say we're at a crisis. And then the stress on the current staff is when they work short, they're working extra hours, they're picking up shifts, and yeah, the money's nice, but at the end of the day, you like to have your time off, and that's always that necessary recharge you need is that time off. So it's a stress on everybody. All right.
Thank you. Supervisor Rowdy update on.
I've got quite a list. I'll try to go through it pretty fast. The Polk County UTV Council is sitting, part of them, the work is sitting right here. But they've been working on the cattail sawmill trails, grass mowing, and 2 passes on the cattail. I guess time permitting, if you allow this, time permitting. And they have some post repair on the cattail. Then there's a situation with the cattail approaches because of the pavement breaking off.
Yeah.
So next week, they're gonna get gravel brought in and have their skid steers down there, do repairs. And that's being under a grant of $40,000. Out in Sterling, they're getting close. They need the signs and posts to arrive here so they can put them together and put in the ground out in Sterling, and that'd be the last loop with 272 signs. So they've done quite a bit of work, and they've been working out there to smooth the new it's the northern piece, to get it smooth and ready to open. So they're moving along really well out there, I think. And a question for you, Steve, they were asking about the town roads They said some of the signs are getting so, they're just fading away. They can't hardly read the town road signs and the stop signs, and they're wondering if there's a chance we could look into that. You know, in Bowling, we were required to put in those high intensity stop signs.
Yeah, the towns weren't, but I can talk to the chairman, he's my neighbor, so talk to him a little bit about it. I know I talked to Lake Town about that already, and some of the correction was made. You know, for the fire department, I mean, at night, no reflectivity, signs are bent over, half pointed the wrong way and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But I'll bring it to his attention. I guess if there's some specific roads or areas that are gonna be affected, it'd be nice to know that so they could start on.
I'm sure the club can put that together or Ben. So-
Yeah, we'll go check.
Yeah, if I had a
It's
list,
mainly down in that area, you know, where people are gonna be driving down there now. They're not, us guys know where we're going around, you know.
talking about after the trade and Collin.
Isn't that about what it is? Is it
Yeah,
no?
Trading Collins and north, 290, 280, all them signs are really faded.
Some of the stop signs, you can't even, one of them there, you can't even tell it's a stop sign.
Yeah, very.
The paint's all fell right off. But we didn't know who to contact about it. That's why we came to the board.
Sure.
See if we can get some help.
I can talk to greater man's on the fire department. So, say, you know, you should think about updating some of these signs.
Some of the others. Just a suggestion to him.
That or also.
One little update on a human interest thing, and Norman knows more about it than I do, but there's a cabin out there that used to be Harvey Roberts, and they aren't approved to have a cabin on county land anymore. But some say it's a cabin, some say it's a deer stand. And all is here and trying to decide if they're gonna tear it down or leave it or.
We're all along our trail.
Maybe you know.
Harvey owned quite a bit of land there, you know, when he was active out there. But you saying he built a deer stand off his land?
Yeah, it's on the county.
It's on the,
I'd tear it down.
Yeah.
I wouldn't take the chance of liability. I'd tear it down. If you survey it, you know it's on the county land.
Well, they just-
100% sure.
yeah.
It's on cement slab, I guess.
Harvey never put
Almost like a log
Well, we
cabin.
I kind of suggested, you know, a lot of our trails, if you look out on the private sector, we build shelters. We have shelters out there, warming huts, we call. Maybe we could look into something on that part of the trail. I don't know if that would work or what the liability is with the county on that, but we do put them up in our post Burnett, Polk County. We have warming huts in different areas.
Right, and those are covered by the snowmobile club, right, or the state, or
Usually the clubs take care of it. Yeah,
yeah, they insure that.
they must insure it. Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know how that works with the UTV trail.
Yeah, I don't
Insure
either.
Liability on that. You mean modify that to be a?
Just a stopping point, you know, I don't know. I guess I haven't seen it myself. Melvin, have you been over and looked at it?
I just drove by it, I didn't really go.
We don't know
over
what it really looks like.
It's got a heck of a view, I know that.
Well, it's on county, it's built on county land. County liable.
County liability. You'd have to look at it then, see if it was worth structurally sound enough to do what they want.
Right, what's the long-term maintenance of that versus a
Yeah.
warming shelter?
Right.
I mean, I would think if it would be that way, I would think, once we get this all funded, switched over, we we would do the maintenance on it, you know, if it would work.
That becomes, again, as a county building.
Yeah, there you go. It's just,
We gotta watch that.
yeah,
I mean, somebody should at least look at it and see whether there's any value.
Yeah, we'll take a look at it. We're gonna glossy close.
Could you do like a 360, like the realtor.com?
An area would be nice.
Drone.
Drone, yeah.
I'm sure it's got shooting lanes going all directions of RVs and all.
It's pretty good.
Okay. One thing won't, that on the conference, we attended that session on AGVs and that. Can you get a copy of that presentation? They put them all online.
Yeah, they should be.
Share
on
that.
the website. I'll share it.
Share it with these guys, just for their information, just kind of tells
And
some
what-
of the stuff.
And what Steve's talking about, we had done a conference, they had a ATV. Many counties now are under that, opening up their county road system to ATVs. And there's some opinions from corporate councils out there that one of the things you can't do out there is you cannot make your ordinance more restrictive than state statute. So when a county says you can't have open container or you're required to have a driver's license, that's not enforceable by law enforcement. They're waiting for some rulings from, I believe, FDPS on that. So it falls back on DNR law on the operation of that vehicle on the county road. So there's some corporate councils that, yes, you can make it more restrictive and have these in place. And some of the corporate councils are saying, no, you can't be more restrictive. So if DNR allows you to have an open container and you're not intoxicated, you have an open container. So that's still being vetted out through several counties. So, but I'll share the presentation with it.
Yeah, it was a 1 hour presentation, had a lot of information in it.
This was at conference?
Yeah.
This is a
I'd love to
conference.
see it.
Yeah, Eau Claire County was put on the rec officer from the sheriff's department at Eau Claire County.
Okay, thanks, Ron. CJC update.
Melissa Fisher, our CJCC coordinator, is now going to be doing these.
Oh, I don't have a lot for you guys today, but I just figured I'd give you guys an update on the numbers and kind of what's been happening since I started 4 months ago. Our first time offender program, we have 5 active in that for May. So these are May numbers. We had 2 referrals, 2 graduations, and 1 termination. So with the 5 active participants, it was at 42% capacity. The substance diversion program had 2 active participants and 1 was pending termination. That was at 40% capacity. The intoxicated driver intervention program had 9 active, 8 referrals, and 11 offers that were sent out, but they were still waiting acceptance. That was at 90% capacity. Treatment court had 11 total participants. 1 was in process. For that individual, they had to serve a mandatory jail sentence, so we just have to wait for that sentence to be over before they start treatment court. That was at 65% capacity. These are TAD funded programs, so treatment and diversion funded programs, so we know that we need to increase our numbers in those. So we are actually starting pretrial screenings for new arrestees, and that will, one, it'll show the risk level of letting that person out of jail to the public defender's office, the district attorney's office, and the judges. That was actually supposed to start today, but we didn't have any new arrests last night. So hopefully, well, I shouldn't say hopefully, but that should be starting soon. Yes, that should be starting soon. And then with that pretrial screening, it'll kind of alert us to people that might be able to go into some of our TAD funded programs. People can't have a violent felony per state statute. So it'll help us to look at those individuals that have substance use issues and do not have violent offenses that would disqualify them from our programs. We've started home visits for treatment court. That was actually recommended through the state to be doing those. That's actually what I'll be doing all afternoon and evening today is home visits. We for safety standards, we do 2 of us. So then I go out with the treatment court case manager and do those.
Are they announced or unannounced?
They're announced. Probation is unannounced, but for us, it's a little safer if they know we're coming. And just, I know along with the highway stuff, they do clean up. Our treatment court participants actually in May on their own set up their own community service hours to do highway cleanup. I think they did a stretch on Highway G to I. And that was really well received in the community and by homeowners in that area. And just thought it was great that they set that up on their own. And then next Tuesday, myself, Anna, the treatment court case manager, and Julie, the diversion case manager, will be speaking at the county board, giving a little presentation, a little more in depth on what our programs are.
And just a couple pieces, this screening is a big deal. We've never been able to do this before. Not only do we think it'll drive up participation, but this will actually give judges the teeth when they decide on bonds or not granting bonds and that kind of stuff. It gives them information. That accomplishes a couple things, and the judges have been asking for this. And the other key piece is you're about to go through the jail. We've really rebuilt CJCC, and this staff is exceptional. Something I want to point out that's very unique is Melissa, Julie, and Anna, who's not here, our treatment court case manager, we're all corrections officers at one point in their career. Then they all have degrees in behavioral health or criminal justice related things. And now they're on the alternative justice side. Anna was also a probation officer, so they're unique because they've seen both sides of the coin and they understand how it works. This is a big growth area for the county, and the way they're going is amazing. And they will be presenting the 3 of them at the county board next week, a presentation on this.
Any questions? I got one.
Yes.
Graduate, you said you had 2 graduations?
Yes, for, I think, was it the first time offender?
Not treatment court graduation.
Okay.
Yeah, just first time offender. So they're only in that for a very short time. That's people that, it's usually younger people that have never been arrested before, have no criminal history. And it's usually like they get a disorderly conduct or possession of THC, something like that.
Great.
We might have 2 treatment court graduations in July though.
Update regarding transportation study.
That's me.
You're up.
Good afternoon, everyone. For those of you that don't know me, I think it does. I'm Tim Anderson, County Planner. This project, I updated the Health and Human Services Committee last month on this project that our buddy Johnny here and Supervisor Pritchard from the previous county board kind of brought to our attention. It's been in the background, kind of building and building over the last few years. We've heard from businesses, from employees, from medical centers, from patients that getting to and from work, both on the employee and employer side, getting to and from medical appointments and medical facilities, both on the patient and the medical facility side, has been a challenge getting people there, and it's caused a lot of headaches. So we're partnering here with West Central Wisconsin Regional Planning out of Eau Claire. We'll investigate things like needs level, opportunities, ridership estimates, and costs and some estimated funding opportunities. We have a study group for this project that encompasses a variety of partners that could be on this project. We have Barb's part of our advisory group here. Myself, we have Tanya from Community Services Division, and a couple folks, Laura and Cheryl from ADRC that are on this. Terry from Economic Development, Polaris, Chief of Manufacturing in Milltown, St. Croix Regional Medical Center, and a couple of transportation providers. We're trying to get a well-rounded group of people to investigate and get some feedback. The project's about a 12 to 13 month project, so a little over a year from now, we expect to have the results from this study. And the final presentation will be brought before committees and the county board. The first meeting of the work group happened back on May 17th. We met to discuss some of the key opportunities and key locations where a transit study or a transit opportunity could visit. So we talked about the medical facilities, dialysis, looked at some of the trends from a few of the transportation providers that are already doing this and where they're going frequently in the county. And also worked on the scope and the outline of the project. Some of the next steps we're working on right now is developing a community-wide survey, an online survey for this. The questions are in draft form at regional planning. We're reviewing them as staff, and the work group will get them in the next week, and we'll review them there, and then go out by the end of June here. After that, we'll follow up with an open house here at the county to talk about some of the results and also get additional feedback. That information from the survey and the open house will be used along with other trends and demographic information to start crafting some outlines and recommendations for this process. Again, the goal of this project is to study the feasibility of some of the different transit opportunities, whether it's fixed route, meaning bus stop locations, or point to and from kind of opportunities for transit, and see if we have anything we can do in coordination with what's already going on out there. Help our residents, help our businesses. Any questions?
Cobus Incorporation out of Blueberry, they're kind of. He and his two.
Yep, they're on our committee. Yep. If you have any questions, feel free to give me a contact. Thank you.
ARPA update.
Yeah, ARPA, I can tell you that the second tranche of funds has arrived. So that brings the total to a little over $8.5 million. Of that, just under $5.5 million has been committed. And that means there's a little over $3 million remaining. There has been a sudden rush, not a sudden rush, I should say, but there's been a lot of interest in putting in requests in a resolution format. And in discussions with general government, I've mentioned this in other committees, some of these ideas are very worthwhile, but we want to, rather than rush into those, take a little breath here and ask and answer some questions here. We'll update the general government and the board in July. And then we'll probably be in a better position in August or whenever to make a decision on the remaining funds. So one suggestion in the general government meeting earlier this week, this is yesterday, was to consider our line of credit for the building remodel over there. We have up to, I think, $8.1 million, and that is at a 2.1% interest rate. Now, the good news is that if we're using some ARPA funds to pay for that, we could also possibly use some of that line of credit for the Justice Center roof. And then also we're considering the bell tower structure down at the museum. I got it right this time. Because those are things that we know have to be fixed, and the prices are just going up. So if we have the funds available, that will be introduced, I think, Tuesday evening in a resolution format. Some of the things we're still considering, the gun range or training facility, the emergency unit / command center, which would be for mostly for public health and law enforcement. And then also there's been a recent proposal submitted to me from the EDC and some others regarding a senior housing grant to encourage developers to build additional facilities for market price senior housing. The goal being we have a great need for people who, elderly folks or older folks who may want to downsize. And when they do that, it makes their house available to maybe the younger working class that we need to fill jobs in this county. So those are just some ideas that we'll be kicking about. And of course, we'll get into more detail, I'm sure, at the board meeting on Tuesday evening.
Any questions? Budget priorities discussion.
This is something that we do in each of the committees now. It's an opportunity for me to go a little bit over the process. And when I meet with Mo on a regular basis, he brings to me current issues, trends, challenges, and future expectations. And we start, really, we're discussing budget all year. This is an opportunity for you all to think about. We don't need answers today, but to think about all the things we've gone over in the last several months. Do you have priorities that things should be considered in the upcoming budget? You know, as I begin preparing for it. So Mo has a good handle on that, but you can always feed more information to him. And so when you think of Mo, you got to think of highway, the buildings or facilities, parks and trails now is a big one that's taking center stage, so to speak, on a lot of different things. So that's what we consider, and recycling center is another that we has discussed. So just an opportunity for you all, if as you discuss either in meetings or by yourselves, feed that through Mo, and then he brings that to me, or you feed it directly.
Any other discussion on that issue? Update the work plan. I think we did that last time, didn't we? Have something in August.
Yeah, usually this is when we just look at the month and the next month and just say, hey, is there anything we need to change for next month or into the future? I can't think of anything. Mo, did you have anything different to add or subtract?
Well, do you want to do that report from that Eau Claire County, or are you going to bring that whole thing to this committee?
I was gonna send that out.
Okay,
More.
actually.
So they can look at it and bring it back on another agenda if they have questions on.
But not July.
Yeah, just information, good information to share with that.
On the work plan coming up is mainly gonna be budgetary stuff coming up now as we start looking at CIPs, fee schedules, what the needs are, going through there with the budgetary process. With the federal funding that came out for highways, you know, we have a lot of projects we applied for. We've been very aggressive on trying to get that funding with that as a cost share. So we spread that out the next 5 years. We want to make sure that we're covered with that. But that'll be the next one, going through the CIPs and the fee schedules.
And then Sheriff, you wanted the review of the 911 and dispatch in July. The 911 and dispatch in July. We switched them before.
Okay, anything else?
Are we just gonna recess, or do you want to adjournment?
How many of you are going? So it will be a quorum.
No.
Wait.
Yeah, we have 1, 2, 3. We got a quorum.
Yeah.
Oh, you got.
So, yeah, we get.
I'm gonna ask Mr. Chair if I can be excused. I got a
Okay.
doctor appointment.
You're not going, obviously.
And you're not going either?
I'm
Okay, so.
But she's
Amy-
not
I'm not on the
on
committee.
We're not on the committee.
So now you're down to 2, right?
You got
Yeah.
2 committee members.
So then you can adjourn now, because
Make
you
a
won't have a quorum, and I won't have to worry about open meetings law violations in the hallways of the jail, so that's good.
Motion to adjourn.
So,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
1:30 PM.
We're on to